Don't smile, don't move your face, just stand there. Your heart is beating out of your freaking chest.
You go from the free pizza to pitching the Boston Red Sox.
Ingrained in the company now, it's like you may not get it right, but you'll make it right.
What would you say to the entrepreneur that's looking to relocate and maybe considering Indiana? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. Mark your calendar, we're headed down to Brown County on July 26th for Hard Truth Bourbon and Barbecue Festival. Get ready for a smoky, savory, and spirited weekend at Hard Truth in Brown County. Join me at Hard Truth Distilling Co. the weekend of July 25th and 26th for an unforgettable celebration of bourbon, barbecue, and good times. We've got live music rocking from 9 until noon with 4 different acts, bourbon and barbecue tastings and pairings, bourbon blending and cocktail crafting classes, as well as a VIP bourbon and cigar lounge. They also have interactive competitions and outdoor activities, bourbon barrel roll races, barbecue toss and cornhole tournaments, $10 entry for a $300 prize. If you're a good cornhole player, hit me up, let's join up. And they have axe throwing as well. Me and my team are going to be down there, and I will be releasing a full weekend itinerary for Nashville/Brown County that is guaranteed to be a great time. Tickets for the Hard Truth Bourbon and Barbecue Fest start at $10 for general admission. That gets you entry in the festival, the live music, and pay-as-you-go food and drink. For $35, you can get the barbecue sampler pass, tastings from all the barbecue competitors, or for $75, you can get the VIP ticket where you get VIP lounge access, premium bourbon tastings, and a guided distillery tour by master distiller Brian Smith, previous guest of the show. I will see y'all in Brown County the weekend of July 25th and 26th. Now let's get into the episode. Today I'm joined by Pat Pezet, co-founder of Grinds Coffee Pouches, a tobacco alternative energy product based right here in Westfield, Indiana. What started as a simple idea in a college apartment has grown into a national brand, helping people quit chewing tobacco and boost energy using flavored coffee pouches. From appearing on Shark Tank to scaling a proudly US-made product, Pat's been caffeinating the country and helping people quit nicotine addictions right here in the Heartland. Today, we're going to be talking about the startup grind and the story that brought them to Westfield, Indiana, bringing global influence to the USA. And we got to talk about a story right before we got going of going to Denmark and just the early days of growing a startup, and then learn about what has kept them right here in Indiana. Pat, welcome to Get In.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm pumped you got a great setup. Excited to talk with you.
Dude, this is going to be...
May have to steal some of that intro, too. I like some of the verbiage in there.
Hey, it's all fair game, right? I always like to try to work in some, like the startup grind, a little dad joke, some of that there. What's interesting is I found out about you guys like last year around the Indy 500, I think. You guys were actually a sponsor of the whole tailgate thing that we did. And I had never heard of Grinds going into that. You guys, I think Max on your team reached out, and I was like, oh, this is sweet. And they're based in Westfield. Like, sign me up. And then after doing some research, realizing that you are originally from the West Coast.
Yep, California.
California guy. Who's
Northern California.
Northern California that has been in Indiana for how long now?
It's been about 5.5 years. We moved just before COVID, so we kind of snuck in. And then the world changed, but...
See, that's interesting, too, because a lot of people, I feel like, came in during COVID. They're like, oh, there's, it's more space, blah, 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 like the rent is not that bad, and came during COVID. But you were already game on before COVID.
Yes, 2019, we were in San Francisco and Oakland running our company for a while. The product was made in Denmark for 10 years. Great relationship with those guys. And we had, a couple cool offices in San Francisco and Oakland. But as the business was growing, and it's just chaos in San Francisco and Oakland, we were putting coffee in a pouch, surrounded by tech companies raising millions of dollars and startups and tech. We just were kind of a fish out of water. We knew we had to make a move, and when we started looking outside of the state, Indiana was on the list. We didn't think it was going to be the winner. It was probably like 8 of 10, and it started creeping up, and before we knew it, we were packing up moving trucks and shipping this big machine to Westfield. And yeah, all that transpired in 2019. I guess I'll say now, thankfully, before COVID.
Yeah.
Because so many people started moving, just moving to suburbs and out of big cities. And we got in right before that big rush. And honestly, I told you earlier, shockingly, we love it here.
Shockingly, he loves Indiana. But we're going to dive into that. But I think the story of Grinds really starts around the college time. Like in Southern California?
Yeah, so Central California, San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly. It's a little school on the Central Coast, 4 hours between San Francisco and LA. Matt and I were playing college baseball. We were finance majors. We were good students, probably not great students, but we were definitely not athletes first. We took care of our schoolwork, and we were ending our baseball careers. Matt played minor league ball for the Cubs, I think in Peoria, Illinois, and he was a catcher. I never got anybody to pay me to play baseball, but Matt was wrapping up. I think it was during the off season of his first year playing minor league ball, and I was just finished playing baseball at Cal Poly, trying to figure out what the heck do we do from here. We were up late one night procrastinating on this summer school project. We had one class. We waited till the last day to do it. It was like midnight, maybe 1 a.m., and it was a wild heat wave. It was probably high 90s, which is uncommon. We didn't want to make coffee. It was just too hot, so we just threw coffee in our mouths like a couple idiots. And as we started thinking through this project we were working on, we just were like, are you getting something? I'm getting a little caffeine out of this. Is this working for you? And the first thing we actually did was come up with the name. Like, well, could you use this like tobacco? Yeah, what would you call it? And I think it was Matt. I don't even remember. Alcohol was not involved. And he just was like, I don't know, maybe grinds. I was like, that sounds right. And, maybe take it to spring training, give it to the guys we know that are still playing. Thought nothing of it. Turned in that project the next day and then saw a flyer on campus. Have a cool idea, free pizza. That's all it took for us. If we hadn't seen that flyer, I don't know if anything would have happened with Grinds.
Have a cool idea, free pizza.
We showed up. We filled out a little questionnaire. We already felt out of place. There were people doing electric motors for, I think, Ferrari, and this new packaging where you could ship anything and it was unbreakable. And we just were putting coffee in a pouch. We filled out our little questionnaire. And I think the guy running it, his name was Chris McCann, shout out to Chris, was like, this one's interesting, Grinds coffee pouches. We're like, man, we didn't think anybody was going to make us talk about our idea. We're just here for the pizza. And then we gave our little, what turned into our pitch, just coffee in a pouch, help people quit tobacco. We know baseball. We're going to take the spring training. Who knows what will happen?
And that was just like...
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, so I guess I cut off the story. There's still more. So
yeah, so you give that, you're going to spring training, you see what happens. Well, what was Chris's feedback to y'all?
Chris's thought, I remember it because we were sitting in the back. I mean, Matt and I are happy to speak and we have a good presence, but we felt a little bit out of place, right? Like all these entrepreneurs who've been studying it at Cal Poly the whole time, we just rolled in there with an idea, filled it out. And the guy, Chris, was like, sometimes the simplest ideas are the ones that make the most sense. They just kind of click, people understand it. He goes, I think you guys should apply, should actually enter the business plan competition. We did. There was a few other steps to it. You make your elevator pitch. Honestly, early days of like entrepreneurship, now it's a common, it's ubiquitous. Everyone knows entrepreneurs and the startup grind. We were unfamiliar with all that. He's like, put together a pitch, put on a collared shirt, make your pitch on the early entries.
And where were you at like in life at this point? Are you still a college student? Or are you like, you're a finance major trying to like get a job in investment banking?
Stretching out our college careers, I guess, because we were basically both done with school. We had one more quarter. It's a quarter system, not semester. Trying to figure out what are we doing? Because your whole life, your identity is a baseball player.
Yeah.
And now people are like, I think your time's up. So you got to go figure out identity crisis a little bit. Who are we if we're not baseball players? Grinds was a way to stick around baseball. Seemed like a cool idea. We had no clue how we would do it. And we were interviewing accounting jobs, finance jobs. In hindsight, thank God I would have died behind a desk if I had to do it all day long. But we thought that would be the path. And this business idea, the business plan competition, we kept getting positive feedback. There's like the early stage where everybody presents and they whittle it down from maybe 30 people to 10. And like, hey, you made it to the top 10. Nice work. And we thought, great, so we pitched again, and we got invited to the finals, and we were shocked at that, even on its own. And like, hey, we want you to come to the finals and pitch in front of all these judges. There's VCs and old alumni, people who've been around the block once or twice, and VCs. And we didn't know what to do, and they're like, we want you in the finals, but we got one rule, or one ask of you. You have to bring some actual samples. And to that point, we had never, we'd put coffee in cut tea bags and put it in there. It's like nothing I would share publicly. And they said, you're in the finals and you can pitch, but I need to see samples. We took coffee and hot chocolate. We took it to a seamstress, and we took some tea bag paper. And it's so funny. I had a $100 bill in my back pocket. So like, this lady is going to laugh us out of the room and be like, guys, I'm not putting this stuff. You're going to put this in people's mouths. We walk in and she's like, I can do this for you. Come back in, a couple hours. And I had the $100 bill because I was just ready to be like, if you need us to pay, we'll do this. We want you to make 10 pouches. Just sew them together. She's like, $12.50.
$12.50.
Yeah. Like, done. Shake hands. And she made these pouches, and we brought them.
like hand sewn or like sewing machine?
Hand sewn, Ziploc bag. I mean, it looked like, if you would have seen it on a table, it looked like drugs. And we walked in and we did our pitch. And at the end, the guy who said, you got to bring samples, like, do you have any samples? And we're like, yes, we do. And we took these ugly, janky, hand sewn, way too big, it'd fill up half your mouth pouches, and we passed them out. They tasted great because we just put hot chocolate mix in it. So
Wait, hot chocolate and coffee or just hot chocolate?
Hot chocolate and ground coffee. They were humongous. So they tasted great. Like, imagine taking hot chocolate powder, put it in your mouth. And we saw, like, the judges, we were so nervous, like, they'd throw it and go, this is, what the hell's going on? They were nodding along.
Wait,
like,
are the judges like guys? Or the judges like I was imagining like a VC professor with like just like glasses on and like a big
you had
chaw
people,
in.
suits put together, VCs, men and women. But they, again, because it's coffee in a pouch, there was not a lot. It wasn't confusing. Like, if you put Zyn in front of somebody or tobacco, immediately, if they're not a chewer, they're like, I don't know if that's for me. We just described it as, hey, it's just coffee. It's just hot chocolate mix. So the men and the women all put it in. Non-chewers, you could tell, because they're like,
and they're like putting two fingers in there, like adjusting the, like trying to
but
get it
they're
right.
nodding along. And our pitch, which eventually was the pitch we used on Shark Tank, was just so simple. I remember Matt and I being up the night before that finalist, and I was writing the pitch, and we had all these decks and way too much info. And Matt, hilariously, was playing Xbox Call of Duty. He's like, it's too long. It's just too long. You got to cut this. I'm not listening. Just give me the headlines. So we shortened the whole thing. We had the shortest pitch of anybody there. It was like 2 minutes of the 10 minutes they give you was, I'm Pat, I'm Matt. We played baseball. We have this idea to replace tobacco with coffee and caffeine. And oh, by the way, we know about a dozen guys in the locker rooms that we played with over the years at Cal Poly. We're going to bring it to them and let them find out if minor league baseball and major league baseball, will kind of take to the product. And that's what we did. We won that competition. We were shocked.
What was the prize?
15 grand.
15, geez.
Yeah.
All right.
And honestly, at the time, we were shocked. I mean, we were shocked to be invited to the finalists. And then they started announcing, they said, these 5 didn't make it to the top 3. And they announced companies, and they didn't mention grinds. And we're like, I remember Matt and I looking at each other like, are we about to make 5 grand? Because that was 3rd place. And they're like, 3rd place, X company. We're like, did we just make 10 grand? 2nd place, or they announced the finalists, like the winners grinds coffee pouches. We were shocked. And Matt and I, because not every company that won money followed through with their business, we took that as, these people are giving us the dollars that everybody applied to. We better go.
And was it like just, hey, here's 15 grand, or was it like an investment?
$15,000 check in our bank account? And Matt and
no strings attached.
No strings attached. No strings attached, which in hindsight is also pretty.
That's
pretty
cool.
Wild. Yeah.
And it was for college students.
College students only.
Okay,
yeah. You
that's
could have
pretty cool.
alumni with you or on your team, but you had to be an enrolled college student to apply.
And like usually those contests, I feel like are like $1,500 or $2 grand, 15 grand. Like, and in what, you're 23?
23.
Like, you're like, I could live on this for
By
a
the way,
bit.
my bank account at that time was, floating around $300, $400 at any given moment. So that was pretty wild. And it's funny. We took that 15 grand, we spread that out. We actually, I think, from the judges raised another 15 grand because 2 of the guys that tried the pouches, I'll shout out to Carson and Rich, 2 legends. They've been mentors, guided us for years. They were like, hey, we'll put a little money in too. So we had 30 grand.
Wait, like did they invest or give it to you?
No, they invested.
Okay.
Small percentage of equity, really small, like micro investors, but
okay.
But it was for real equity, whereas the 15 grand wasn't. It was just yours to spend.
Well, was that, how did you go through those terms? First time you're raising 15 grand and you're like, what do you know what to value at? Do you think it's going to be a real thing? Because, that can come back to not bite founders,
no, it could.
But like.
It could. We were very fortunate. Those guys, Rich and Carson, they just wanted to see Cal Poly entrepreneurs succeed because they were tired of Stanford and, Berkeley kicking our ass and entrepreneurs. They just wanted to see Cal Poly students like kind of make their mark. And they walked us through kind of what a decent valuation would be. And I think at the time they invested at a $200K valuation, which Matt and I at the time were thinking, this is nuts. We just sewed these pouches together and now our business for $200K. In hindsight, it's not worth anything because, right, you don't have any sales. But It was very favorable terms, and those guys just wanted to see the companies do well. And they coached us and mentored us for years. Even to this day, we still go back and see them. I haven't seen them in quite a while, but they just basically said, it wasn't, hey, pat on the back, good luck. It was, hey, we're giving you this money and you won that check. We're going to go make sure you're disciplined and you know what you're doing to build this business the right way. And in hindsight, too, $30K at the time felt nuts, right? We had no jobs. We were painting apartments, making $10 an hour. And it's crazy how long we stretched that money. We made it last, I want to say like a year and a half. We were just so disciplined, not spending money. The guy that made our website was a designer who lived above us in an apartment. And he was like, I'll make this site for $1,000. In hindsight, he was just wanted to do a good favor. He was a friend of ours. Everything was just as thrifty and...
What year is this?
Okay, so the year is 2010. Started in 2009. We moved to San Francisco. We're living in my grandmother's apartment.
Like with grandma there?
No. She had passed at that point. But my family has an apartment complex in San Francisco, owned by many people in my family. Said, hey, we want to get this business going. Can we live here for, I think I was talking to my dad, 3 months at the time. That stretched into a year. He goes, sure. But the deal is, because he knew we couldn't afford rent, and he was charging us rent, you're going to paint the apartment building. So we were working on grinds and building the website and getting the branding going and working on samples while painting. When someone would move out of an apartment, Matt and I would roll in there, put the paint on the wall and finish up an apartment to pay for our rent.
Nothing like painting the apartments to fund your startup, basically. With sweat equity.
Real sweat equity. I don't know if you've ever painted. You're painting ceilings. It was
those shoulders.
Oh, killing. But that was 2010. At the same time, the Giants we're huge San Francisco Giants fans. They're making a World Series run. Like, that was Tim Lincecum, Matt Cain, just Buster Posey. Great year for Giants baseball. Grinds, the company, really was not doing well. We probably had, we would walk down maybe 10 orders a day to the post office. We were not making any salaries.
But 10 orders a day as like a year-old startup,
we loved it.
It's not terrible.
No.
You're 24 years old.
Yeah, we had nothing to lose.
Yeah. At the time, you guys are selling 10 orders a day. You're like a year into the business. You're living in San Francisco.
Yep.
In your grandmother's apartment, but you're getting the rent for free, but you have to pay via
sweat equity,
painting the
and honestly, we were watching our friends also go get great jobs. Cal Poly has a good accounting program. Like, people just moving up here and they're working downtown, finance, accounting, getting early entry jobs and making good money. And we got peanuts, right? Like, hey, let's go meet for beers. Like, I got $10. We would go to this place called the Bus Stop because if the Giants won, they had 50-cent PBRs. We're like, Giants are winning, let's head over to the bus stop because that's all we could afford. But while this is going on, we said we're going to give this to the end of 2010. And if it doesn't start paying our salaries, like, I think one of us, maybe Matt, was like, I might go get a job. I'll do this part-time and keep doing grinds. Because it just wasn't taking off. We were excited, but there was not enough revenue. I think we did $30,000 in sales, which I was proud of, but it didn't pay the bills.
Yeah, it's like an above-average side hustle.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, we weren't making any money.
Yeah.
So while this is going on, Giants are making a World Series run. And our hitting coach at Cal Poly, his name's Jared Kruko. His dad, Mike Kruko, is the announcer for the Giants. So he helped us get some product to Bruce Bochy, their manager. And, we sent some cans and a business card. Never heard anything. That was in the summer. Giants go on this World Series run. Grinds really is still not taking off. Like, some people like it. Most people are saying the product is terrible. You need to improve it because the idea is here. The product's still down here. We're not sure what to do. Giants win the World Series. It's a great time in San Francisco. 2 days after the World Series, get a call. Matt and I are sitting in our apartment. We're watching some, downloaded movie that we're watching, bootleg, and get a 415 call. I let it go to voicemail. Don't even think about it. Check the voicemail, sitting on my grandma's old couch. And the beginning of the voicemail is, hey, Pat, it's Bruce Bochy here. And I pop up, right? Holy shit, And he goes, just wanted to let you know, I've been using the grinds, been meaning to call you, and just been busy, obviously. They just won the World Series.
This is 2 days after the World Series?
2 days after. We found out earlier that day, he was making calls. He called Barack Obama, or he got a call from Barack Obama that day. And then probably was cleaning out his desk and was like, I should call the grinds guys. Been using the product, might be saved my life. Keep at it. Wish you guys the best. That just got, you want to talk about renewing your motivation. That voicemail, which I still have on an old computer, we still listen to it because it's incredible. It's what sparked us to say, all right, we got to figure this out.
And think about that. Like, you're a person that has some sort of influence, right? The manager of the Giants.
Yeah.
Like, he has a lot of influence, but there's lots of people that have influence. He just makes a throwaway call, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
Throwaway call.
like a minute. And he's like, I leave a minute long voicemail, whatever, like 30 seconds.
And changed our whole trajectory.
Your life.
Changed our life. Yeah, it changed our life.
I don't know if people think about how big of an impact doing things like that can be.
Oh, yeah.
Like
And
one voicemail.
you said it right, too. It was a throwaway. I'm sure he had the business card on his desk. And he said, I've been using Grind. It's been helping me quit Copenhagen. And probably just said, I'll give him a buzz before I toss and chuck this business card. And that literally, I mean, the business changed right then and there.
Did you call him back?
I called him back, but it was a generic Giants business line, right? So never heard back. And then we said, all right, we got to figure this out. Because if this guy is using this honestly horrible product and he says there's something there, we can figure this out. So we raised a little bit of money from friends and family.
On that voicemail?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
literally, this is the voicemail. This is...
Sent the voicemail via email. We're like, hey, we're raising some money. Listen to this, right? And so we had some friends and family. Matt's folks got involved, and we raised some money and found these guys in Denmark because we said we got to, you know, everyone says the idea's here, the product's down here.
How was the product being made at the time?
You know, we had a guy. We'd only made 2 production runs. It did not run well. We found a guy in Selma, Alabama. His name is Russell, and honestly, he took a chance on us too. And he was making it, he had this property in Alabama. In hindsight, it wasn't the most polished of operations, if you'd say. But he gave us a shot, right? He gave us those first products, but he couldn't make it at scale. He's having trouble running the coffee. Our first order, we wanted, it's so funny now, we wanted 500 cans, which is so small now. I think we only got 200. He couldn't even make it at scale. And so we said, we need to find someone who can really do this. And we found the machines that you need to make tobacco. We went to this big expo. And we found the machine. It's like the 72 pouches per minute. And we said, you know, how much are these machines? And they're like, yeah, 2.1 million bucks. We're like, okay, who do you sell them to? Because we can't afford that. And they said, well, you know, they're all over the world. You're not going to find a lot in the U.S. because pouches were not popular. And they said, you know, we've got people in Germany, Denmark, Sweden. And we just started cold emailing, you know, got on, I don't even know if it was Zoom back in the day. All these random meetings. Skype. Yeah, we were on Skype.
Like, talk about the ultimate like fumble of the bag. Like Skype how did Skype get beat by Zoom?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a story for another time.
Yeah,
but
but you're exactly right. It's like, yeah, just hang in there. But we found these guys. Yeah, there was 3 companies. These guys in Denmark that we used, and honestly 2 others I can't even remember. And Matt and I are big on half of life is showing up. Like, take action, right? You can send an email, a phone call. We would tell these companies, hey, we're coming to Denmark or we're coming to Sweden. We didn't have flights or anything, but to let them know, if you're interested, we're coming. We want to meet with you. 3 of them said, great, come on out. We'll set time. And it was actually, we couldn't afford it. So only Matt went out the first time. I was telling this story earlier. He took a flight that, again, was like San Francisco to Dallas to New York to London to Denmark. 36 hours of travel. I actually have one of our first tickets laminated that shows all those routes because it was $900 and 36 hours of travel. He shows up in Denmark. 2 of the meetings cancel while he's already there.
Shut up.
But, you know.
You get a long distance call or like at this point, what this is 2000 what?
2000, this is like 2011
All right, so
now.
it's like late enough that it's like you pick up a cell phone and give you a buzz.
But one just flat out no, didn't even say I'm not having the meeting, just never responded. And I was like, well, it's a 2-hour drive and I haven't heard anything, so I'm not going out there. One of them said, hey, they gave us the courtesy. We're going to pass. It's just not a fit. And then these 2 brothers, Mark and Patrick Vogel, were like, yeah, come on out. We'll host you.
How brutal would that have been
if everybody? But see, that's, again, like some of our business beliefs, like playing the game the right way is taking action.
Half a life is showing up?
You got to show up. Yeah, half a life is showing up. So Matt showed up. I told you he was in suit and tie. And the Danes, man, their culture is awesome. I love their business culture and also just life in general. They're so laid back. I mean, jeans, they were laughing at Matt later that this kid showed up 24, suit and tie, and they're like,
okay,
bud. Take it easy, bud. Yeah, okay, bud. But he presented well, and these guys just, again, I told you, I think they saw younger versions of themselves maybe in Matt and I, and just they liked experimenting, and they said, okay, if you can pay for that production run, cash up front, And that took all the money we raised. I think it was maybe $75,000. So a real amount of money that we raised after that.
That first official production run was 75.
I believe it was 30,000 units, and I forget the conversion rate of euros to dollars, but it was half the money or most of the money. And they just said, we'll do it so long as you pay up front, because they knew it ain't no chance in hell it was going to run and it was going to jam up. And now we're doing that in Westfield, and I totally know how they approached it. And they just said, we'll give you a shot. We wanted 30,000 units. We wired the money. That was also a crazy feeling. International bank account. Matt had one meeting, and he said, we'll run it. We'll ship it. We'll let you know when it's done. We ordered 30,000 units. They didn't even get through 10,000. They're like, hey, there's major problems. We made 2 of the flavors you want. One of them barely ran, so we're shipping what we've got. And we're also sitting here going, well, we just paid you for 30,000. They sent us some product, and it still had issues, but it was so much better than what we had before. This is a high-end operation. They were doing millions of cans of tobacco per month, these great machines. They had a great art guy, labels. They really helped us out a ton. They didn't need to at all. And that product finally got to a point where, almost like the cans that I have on the desk now,
let's see one of those.
Yeah, here you can show you the mocha or the white pouches.
So this is what we're working with today. We got spicy mango, double mocha. Everyone. I feel like nowadays everyone knows with Zyn and with what pouches look like. There, we open this puppy up.
Well,
that's the
that one's open. You can open up the white one. So we've got the coffee pouches, and we've got the white pouches. Right, the coffee is coffee and caffeine. They're brown. They're dark. The white pouches, everybody knows Zyn. Yeah. So now it's familiar. Like, you know how to open a can and put a pouch in. With coffee, you can just swallow. It's like drinking coffee. You would end up on the road and, you'd be done, or maybe you're flying. And you're like, I need to throw my pouch somewhere. Discard chamber. That came from our guys in Denmark as well.
Oh.
And, it just got to the point where it looked like a real product, right? It looked like something you'd say, okay, this seems like a legit business. Brought that back to the States, went back to spring training, got a bunch more positive feedback.
From players?
From players. And again, kind of shockingly, a few teams, we have good relationships in baseball right now, but some of the teams like the Red Sox and the Giants at the time, they were much more helpful than they needed to be. They're like, guys, we appreciate what you're doing. You're helping guys quit tobacco. We had meetings early on with like the Red Sox and the Giants where we're walking in with like Under Armour and New Balance, meetings that we shouldn't have any business being in. And then I remember the Red Sox meeting, they actually cleared out. They're like, all right, all brand reps got to go. And this guy for the Red Sox, Pookie, he's like, you guys sit tight. So everybody cleared out, and we're in the locker room in spring training with the Red Sox. And this was, I'm familiar with baseball. I'm comfortable in those locker rooms, but we got to stay in the locker room after batting practice. Dustin Pedroia, David Ortiz, Kevin Youkilis, they're just sitting, shooting the shit before a spring training game, and the guy from the Red Sox was like, keep your products out, just sit here. I think I was pretending to read the newspaper. And he's like, just see what the guys think. Pedroia came up, hey, what do we got here? I explained grinds. Couldn't believe I was pitching Justin Pedroia. A few pitchers, I think Tim Wakefield was still there. He used grinds to quit. He unfortunately passed from his tobacco use. He had health issues. So sad story there, but we helped him get off tobacco at one point. And he used a bunch of
and that's one of those where it was like a little like too late at the time.
Too late. But it does, because we're getting into energy and focus and all these new ingredients. But our core mission was just to help people cut down or quit.
Well, and I don't know if there are listeners out there that don't understand the culture, like chewing tobacco is synonymous with baseball.
The words in my head, synonymous with baseball.
Yeah.
And now it's changed. There's a lot of Zyn in the locker room. Zyn's replaced
I feel like Zyn's there. I always love seeing the college basketball. So you see a coach on the side just like tossing
Baker Mayfield on the side of Monday Night Football throwing in a pouch. That actually has transpired. But back then, tobacco was everywhere.
Even with Zyn, energy, whatever the thing might be, obviously grinds, like getting people away from the traditional legacy chewing tobacco. Like, that's what you guys did this for in the beginning. Obviously, it's a business. They wanted to make money. But
that was the mission statement. Because we also didn't know. We called it a win when we got that free pizza. It was like, someone gave us some free pizza for our idea. This is kind of wild. Then someone wrote a check. It's like, well, that's kind of wild. We kept having these times. I'm calling it a win right now. But that was the mission. Mission statement was provide a healthy alternative to major and minor league baseball.
And now you go from the free pizza to pitching the Boston Red Sox in their locker room before a spring training game.
Yeah, it was wild. Still got feedback, improve this, change this flavor's bad. But that led to an article in ESPN, the magazine. Some reporter saw Grimes. We had a connection. We got this little blurb. They had a quote from, I think, Bochy and Steven Strasburg, who we played against at San Diego State, old pitcher for the Nationals.
Yeah.
And got a little blurb in ESPN, the magazine. It got in this circle of like PR world. We got in Entrepreneur magazine. They did a full page feature.
And at that point, like, what's the business doing?
Maybe $100K in revenue. So I think Matt and I were paying ourselves $500 a month, which felt great.
That's something.
And yeah, so it was like, okay, showing signs of life. And then ESPN Chicago picked it up and did an article online. We had this good PR. And then, I'm fast forwarding a little bit. We got a call. We wanted to apply to Shark Tank. We're like, how do you apply? How do you go to casting calls? And we were thinking about going down to LA and standing in line like American Idol. We got same thing, phone call. And I forget the area code, but I answered that one. It's like, hey, I'm so-and-so from Shark Tank. We heard about your product. We're trying to they film, I think at that time they were filming 2 weeks at a time in the summer. So they've got like one session and another. We're actually looking for someone like Grimes, meaning younger guys, college kids, something with a sports angle. If you guys can put a video together, we'll get you down here in 2 weeks and you'll pitch on the show. And so that was really, Bruce Bochy was when the business changed and we said, we're going to do this. We committed all in. The Shark Tank moment was when the business probably got launched out of a cannon. And we were so small too that we went down there, they put you up in a hotel, you're in these unmarked vans, and really it's a black van. They're like, don't talk to anybody. You sign pages and pages of non-disclosures.
Hey everyone, quick pause in the action to introduce you to Flutterman Von Riest, a true hidden gem in Indiana, especially for all you watch aficionados out there. Founded by an Indiana State graduate from Batesville, this family-owned brand has deep Hoosier roots dating back to the 1830s. They are even proud members of the Society of Indiana Pioneers, which I didn't know existed but is a sweet organization. They are based in Indy and are redefining luxury watches. Meticulously crafted in Kokomo by a certified watchmaker and his apprentice, the designs blend classic elegance with a modern twist. Don't miss their Chase Briscoe Race Day VIP Experience giveaway, an incredible opportunity for race fans. Chase is an awesome NASCAR driver from Mitchell, Indiana. You're going to be learning more about him soon. Follow Flutterman Von Riest to explore their stunning collections and join their journey to greatness. So you can't even talk about some of this stuff.
Statute of limitations has passed. You can't at the time. You're not supposed to say a word. And you get down there and there's probably 40 other companies. They put you in these big, giant airplane hangar of a studio. And you meet with, I don't know if it's ABC or Sony, general counsel. And they're basically going through everything that will go wrong and how your life's going to suck if you tell anybody you're here.
Oh, because they don't want you to ruin the show for people. Yeah.
So you start there.
So you can't even tell your family.
You're not supposed to. We did, of course. Shocker. But
I know that Mark Cuban watches the show, so please don't tell.
I love it. Oh, I got a story there about Cuban, and also aside from this, I've got a guy who you're going to want to talk to having the show.
Oh, amazing! Well, we have a part for that at the end, so It'll be sick.
But anyways, we go down there, and you're on the Sony lot in Culver. It's incredible, right? You're seeing sets, and people are driving by in golf carts like you've seen in the movies, and then they say, all right, you're going to be in a certain wave of people to come pitch. They put you up at like a Ramada bootleg hotel off the freeway, and you get a call every morning at 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. And that call is either to say, get ready, we're picking you up in a van, it's your time to pitch, or not today. We were the last group to go. So we were getting that call for like 4 or 5 days, like, not today, not today,
What are you
not
doing
today.
in the hotel?
We're just saying the pitch over and over and over. There was a mall across the street. You can't focus on anything other than is today the day. And we did that pitch.
That seems like so
It's wild.
like crazy of like the stress and the adrenaline. When they could just like have a schedule, like, yeah, you're gonna be Thursday at 3.
You're exactly the stress and adrenaline, and it's because they actually don't know how long the pitches are gonna go. If your pitch goes well, you might be out there for an hour and a half. That's how long we were out there. But if you bomb and it doesn't go well, which looks good on TV, it's like 5 minutes. Because the Sharks know when it's genuine. They're like, this person is just looking for the publicity. They're not taking this seriously. I'm out, see you later. And that can speed up the day. But when it's going well, it's a lot longer. And so we're just doing our pitch over and over and over and over again. I could do the pitch right now, verbatim. Matt and I can still do it because he did it so many times. And then finally, one day, hey.
How old are you guys at this point?
Probably 25, maybe.
So this is still pretty early. You're young.
Oh, way early.
Okay.
Yeah, way early.
And you get the call. Ring, ring.
Yeah. You guys are up. So you chug your coffee and you eat your Ramada and breakfast.
Toss in a few pouches.
Yeah, and you brush your teeth, whatever, and you go. And that experience was a trip too, because the unmarked van is back. They pick you and 3 other companies up that you don't know, and they put you in a little green room, not much bigger than this. There's some waters, and like, sit tight. We're gonna wait till the people in front of you are done. You do a little hair and makeup, which is kind of funny too, and then finally go, all right, grinds, you guys are up. And that's when things change. It's if you've played any background in sports, that feeling, a huge game, huge venue. You get in the golf cart, they drive you into this, again, giant airplane hangar of a studio. And like, all right, you're going to go stand. It's not even a room. It's 4 curtains that are in the studio, and someone in front of you is doing their pitch, and you can hear everything, right? It's an airplane hangar of a studio. The whole thing is set up to film. They're like, you're just going to sit tight. When they're done, we'll walk you in. And the person in front of us had a good pitch that went well. So it took like an hour. And you're just sitting there, not sweating, but
literally sweating.
Adrenaline maxed out. And finally, they're like, all right, you're up. And you walk in, and it makes sense now. I know very little about the TV movie industry, but loud music is playing. Like, it's Flo Rida whistle was on, and it's like, this is crazy. They're getting everybody up, and they're like,
is there a studio audience?
No audience.
No audience. Okay.
In fact, the room is, again, airplane hangar style studio. The set that you see, right? You've got the sharks, you walk out that door, and you can see like where you set up your product. The other wall is it looks like a black nothingness. And that's where all the cameras, the people running at the record
it's
studios.
like a half, like, right? They try to set it up so
or
maybe
So they tell you, hey, you're gonna those doors that open, they don't go anywhere. So you actually walk back there and you sit there. And they're like, okay, here's what's going to happen.
But you're not actually coming out from anywhere.
Exactly.
It's like you walk back and then they shut it. And
you're loved. It's incredible to see it all made, right? The magic.
Who were the sharks for yours?
Damon, Robert. So they're the 2 we made the deal with. Mark, Barbara, and Mr. Wonderful. Right? So
5?
The classics. Yeah.
Dang,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's not who we made the deal with, but they were the ones that were there. Okay. Now there's a lot of different sharks that come
they
through.
rotate them in. So they open those doors, you walk out there, and
the part that no one knows about that I still say was, you want to talk about the highest your heart's ever racing. When it starts, they open it and they play that music, and they're like, you're going to walk out and you're going to stand on your mark, and we need to get the lighting and the sound right. Don't smile, don't move your face, just stand there for about 30 seconds. Like, you can look at them, but we don't want you to move. Your heart is beating out of your freaking chest. It is incredible. I mean, even now I'm kind of getting that feeling. From the black nothingness, eventually someone just yells the word go. And that's when you take a deep breath and just go through your pitch. And, like, your legs get wobbly. We've done the pitch, though, so many times for 4 days. Like, we just spit it out. Matt's great, too, because I started it, and I would say something like, in the locker room of the Red Sox and Chicago Cubs. That was his cue to come in. And when we were debriefing after, he's like, I didn't hear anything you said except for the word Cubs, and then I said my part, because you're so nervous. And then, honestly, you sink into it. Our pitch was going well. Cuban was flying through pouches. Like, we're sitting here watching, like, this is crazy. He keeps throwing them in. He's nodding. He's smiling. Like, we're going to make a deal with Cuban.
Do you settle in? Because I think that one piece of just from pitching is making it not seem so scripted. Like, it's scripted, but like you want it to feel conversational.
Needs to feel natural and conversational. Yeah. The pitch, they edit it and splice it. We were out there for an hour and a half. They edit it down. So they cut anything that doesn't feel right.
It's like 12 seconds.
But yeah, you do. It was after we did our pitch, and then there's kind of this boring part where they're actually doing this stuff that doesn't end up on TV. Like, they have your first name and the name of your company. So they actually get more oriented with, like, well, who are you really, and what are you doing? How'd you get here? Some of that's
so there's
the story.
More of like a traditional like venture pitch.
Part, and a part that's like an hour-long meeting where it's like the boring stuff. Like, wait, hang on.
Do they let you sit down, or do you stand the whole time?
You're standing the whole time.
But then they're seated. They're seated. Just
what else is funny too? I forgot about this. They do tell you, if you ever need a break, you just need to say, like, hey, can we have 20 seconds to think about this? And that buys you like 5 minutes. You go back behind the doors, and it almost is like you can like just sort of recollect yourself. We used that when we were actually going through the offer part.
Do you actually sign a deal right there?
You don't.
But do you actually like make terms?
Yes. And honestly, this is all in hindsight. The show has grown so much from here. It's a handshake deal, right? So afterwards, you're going to go do all the due diligence. Like, they're going to
Are you being truthful about all the stuff?
That's basically it. Yeah. And we were. And we actually went in, we lowered our valuation because we were going to go with, I think, 75K at $1 million valuation. And we had these two great producers who are kind of your coaches. They're like, hey, they even told us, like, the Sharks are ornery today. They're beating everybody up over $1 million valuations. If you guys are willing to just be a little more humble and lower that, we think you'll actually avoid the hurdle of like, well, why are you worth $1 million? Because we were so tiny. And we lowered our valuation, and so that went smoothly. They're like, well, you valued it at $750K. That's reasonable. You know, it shows that you guys are not overzealous, and so things were going well. And then
how about the layup from or the alley-oop from them?
When that happened, both Matt and I, we obviously didn't look at each other like, thank God they told us that. That was like, you get it, you guys get it, and you do kind of sink into it. And then it's like sports, like big game, or if you even like high school football, like kickoff. Then the game starts, somebody hits it, and you're like, okay, now I'm just in the game. And that's when it kind of, I don't know if I was even say fun because it's so stressful, but we just got to tell our story. We're authentic with what we knew and what we didn't know. Like, hey, this is the cost to make the materials. Well, how is X and Y going to affect it? Like, we don't know. Good question. We'll figure that out later. And then finally, I think it's like we've been out there for almost an hour, and it's Mr. Wonderful who's like, clearly either got a signal from like, all right, let's get down to brass tacks. Like, let's make some offers. Barbara went out because she's like, I don't know what these pouches
That's
are.
fair.
Yeah.
What do you say when a shark goes out?
So that one was easy. We were like total, because she said something positive. You guys clearly have energy. I can think you're gonna, do something with this, but I don't understand it. I'm not in businesses. I don't understand. Thank you. Get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody else, what do you got? And then what was a shocker, because Cuban's plowing through pouches and nodding along, like when we're saying stuff. And he's like, guys, I think this is going to be a nice business. I think he said something like it's going to be a double, maybe not a home run. It might be, but I'm looking to go even bigger. And I think Damon and Robert had already made an offer. He goes, I'm going to make it easier for those guys, and I'm going to go out. And I remember being like, oh, shit. I thought Cuban was going to be a fit. And then it was Damon and Robert who were going in on a deal together, and Mr. Wonderful wanted this
licensing deal. There it is.
Yeah. Every time you sell one, I get a quarter till I get my money back. And we knew going in that was not a good deal for us, because that takes cash flow out of a growing business.
Yep.
Even today, we've scaled.
It kind of like just chokes. Gives a slight choke on it. You're not getting as much as you could be
and
getting
when
back
you're
into
starting, even today, we're making and selling 1 million cans a year, which is crazy to even say, right? Because I'm reflecting on all this stuff. We had great coaching. It's like, don't look for a deal like that. Royalties are going to put a slight choke on your business. The cash is like feeding a baby. If you use the metaphor of like your business is a small baby growing in, hopefully to a teenager one day, you need to just give that thing food, and that's money, and you don't want to take a royalty deal. So we passed on that, and I think Damon and Robert wanted more equity. I can't believe I don't remember some of this stuff that we were comfortable with. We set a limit. I think it was 25%, and they wanted 30%. And we finally came back, I think, and settled on 15%. And that's when Matt and I took our time out, because we were like, oh, shit, we have a real deal. We got to go figure this out. We went back there. We came here to get a deal. So let's just take it, and we can figure the rest out later. So we went back, accepted the deal, and then
final deal, $75K for 15%?
15%, 7.5 each, and shook hands. I mean, it was funny too, because they're beating you up in there, right? Like some for TV and some because, they're trying to get a good valuation. So it's tough. And then once it ended, because we made a deal, we had them all sign our bat that we had out there. And they all flipped. Like Mr. Wonderful was kicking our ass in there. Like, why doesn't Starbucks squash you like the cockroach you are? And then when it was over, he's like, good luck. You guys are going to do great. And
like actually like normal, like,
yeah, they kind of,
you have to play your part, right?
Yeah, exactly. They came out of character a little bit.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was like, sit and wait. It was 8 months between when we filmed it and it actually went to air. And in that whole time, you're not supposed to say a word about being on there.
When does your investment actually take hold?
So there's a whole nother piece. Our deal fell through, and honestly, in month 7 of that 8-month window, mainly because they wanted some more equity and they had another partner they wanted to bring. It just wasn't a fit for us because we knew exactly what we were going to do with that investment, and it fell through. Literally the 11th hour. And we were thinking we either just made the biggest mistake we're ever going to make in business or the best choice long term.
But they obviously did not cut it from the show?
The deal went through on the show, handshake.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, the Sharks are waiting to see, is your episode going to go to air? There's some companies that make a deal on the show.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, either the content wasn't there, they get cut. So you don't actually know if this amazing moment you had is ever going to reach TV in an audience, millions of people watching. Right before then, we're doing due diligence, and it just fell through. I think in hindsight, Damon wanted to push and scale quickly, and I think Matt and I, honestly, at the time, were terrified that might crush our business. We weren't ready. The product wasn't there. In hindsight, we just weren't ready to scale at all. And he's like, I want this in Walgreens. I want it in CVS. I'm going to get my guys involved. And it just wasn't a fit. And I get why it wouldn't be for him. And when we finally went through that, painful process of actually saying no, it came right when the show was going to air. So it was like the business was about to get shot out of a cannon.
And do you owe them anything for the publicity that they give you?
We were the last season that had in their contract with, I forget if it's Sony or Mark Burnett Productions, you used to sign away 5% equity or 2% royalties forever. That was part of the contract. And our year we were in there, Mark Cuban actually went to bat for companies and said, hey, ABC and whoever's involved, you guys are making so much damn money from this show now. You don't need to take equity and royalties for companies. So we technically signed that they could take that equity, and it was removed from the contract between the time we filmed and the time it went to air. But I would tell you, and I tell anybody even considering going on the show, don't overthink it. If you are going in there with a real valuation, the value you're going to get from that publicity is priceless.
So let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
It's the classic, do you want 100% of a grape or 5% of a watermelon?
Yeah.
Or 50% of a watermelon?
Big piece of a small pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that airs. Your deal is, by the time it airs, do you know your deal's not going through?
Yeah.
So you're like, well, this is some free advertising, basically.
Yes, but also we were thinking it's 50-50. It's either the worst decision we're ever going to make, it's going to haunt us forever, or it was the right long-term play. And it was.
So do you have like a watch party?
We did. Matt and I were paranoid. I mean, we didn't want to have a party. It was actually my wife who was like, we're having a party. We're renting out a spot. It's funny because at the time, bank account was really low for the company. I think we had maybe less than $10,000.
How many units did you have available?
We had loaded up on as much inventory as possible for the show, and that's why we had no money because we said, all right, it's going to air.
You got product though.
Yeah. So, we thought we did. Oh. And my wife was like, we're throwing a party. Even if this never goes anywhere, this is going to be an incredible night. A buddy of ours, who was one of our first employees, was a bartender there at campus named Charles. And so we rented out our local bar on a Friday night in San Francisco, which was also expensive because that's a busy night. And we had anybody and everybody we knew show up. The old mentors from the Cal Poly Business Competition, our friends and family. We made a special drink menu like shark shots, and it was an incredible party. But Matt and I were so nervous. You don't know, you never see the final cut, how it's going to edit. We're just terrified. We wanted to go to the office and just watch our computer and make sure nothing broke. And thankfully, my wife pushed us to throw a party. We did, made it look like red carpet, and the bar did so well that night. We were supposed to pay him like $2,000 or something, which is 20% of all the money we had. They said, we did so well, forget it. Because so many people showed up, the bar was slammed, and then the show aired and it went well. We were flying high.
So show airs, your website just start ripping?
Exploded.
Like how quickly?
Instant. And at the time,
you're on screen and you're getting orders.
Phone is blowing up because we actually ran our sales through PayPal at that time, all of them. And that's the only reason our website didn't crash. We had pages crash, but the part where you put in your credit card and order was through PayPal that can scale and do whatever. And we would get a ding on our phone every time a PayPal
That's a good feeling.
Oh, it's amazing. But then it gets, I'm not kidding, you get a pit in your stomach. You're like, I don't know how many orders are coming in. I think we had something like 12,000 orders. That went through all the inventory we had in less than 24 hours.
What were they retailing at? 12,000 orders? What was their average order value?
I think at the time it might have been $30. And do that math, because is that
$360K?
Yeah. That's the sales we did that month. But that's all the sales we did because we sold through 3 times the inventory we had. And we were sold out for 6 weeks because Denmark, we spent all our money buying as much product as we could. We told Denmark, we're going to air. We'll email you the next day if we need an emergency order. We emailed them, but they're in Denmark. So it took 3 weeks to make it, 3 weeks to ship it. And that whole time, we were sold out. And I'm not kidding. We took a flight from San Francisco to LA, cleared my voicemail before. When I landed, I had 40 voicemails of people going, you've got my 1450. Is this a scam? I don't have any product. and we just answered every single email. If you want a refund, I'll do it right now. If you're willing to wait, product will ship, whatever you decide.
And I mean, they understand. A lot of them understand. Like, we were just on Shark Tank. We sold out. Like, what do you want from us?
It's funny. Everyone understood as long as you sent that message.
Yeah.
It was not hearing. And honestly, like Matt and I, that's the only couple of times, like, I think Matt slept at the office, and our diet was, there was a Walgreens outside our office in San Francisco. We were drinking Red Bull and eating like Cliff Bars for like a month. It was
nothing but grinds and Cliff Bars, baby.
It was not a healthy time. And it took a full year to even get on top of inventory because you also have reruns. So we finally got on top, back in stock, and like, hey, your episode's going to rerun on ABC. We don't have an episode this week. Sold out again. Great for the business.
Yeah.
And just shot us out of a cannon, man. It was
like,
incredible.
You go from, what were you doing pre-Shark Tank revenue?
Maybe $250K projected for the year. And then we did $350 in that month. And that got us above $1 million in sales. And we stayed there. That was 2012, 2013. And we stayed there. And then the business started growing. We started hiring. Everything was focused around, like, even if people don't like our product, treat them well.
Yeah.
Great customer service. I'm most proud of one review we had where a guy hated the product. And this is when there was Facebook reviews. Like, I tried this stuff, wanted to like it. It was horrible. Pouches opened up, the flavor's wrong, blah, 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 brutal. He amended that from a 1-star to a 2-star. He goes, look, I still hate grinds, but this company knows how to operate. They treat you well. I had to go back and update my review because you may not get it right every time, but as long as you take care of people, and they know someone cares about what, the money they're spending, it just goes a long way. And you can build, reputation is gone in a second. It takes decades to build it. So
oh my gosh, one bad thing. Like, you could spend 10 years building a great business, and you guys flub up and send out some bad stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, you're ruined.
Yeah. And that philosophy is still ingrained in the company now. It's like, you may not get it right, but you'll make it right.
Well, okay, so Shark Tank, obviously, that's the thing that really sets you up over the top, right?
Yeah.
Like, that puts you
the
shot
next
out of a
5
cannon.
years, company's growing, scaling.
And then at some point in there, 2018, 2019-ish, you guys start to realize that California is not the place for the future of grinds.
Yeah, let's bring Indiana into the picture, shall we? Business is scaling. We're taking a salary. Things are good. We have a nice lifestyle business, honestly. We know the market's growing. We see Zen launch.
At what point? Where did Zen
It's
launch?
actually 2014.
You knew Zen in 2014?
Yeah. And it was not common. They couldn't give Zen away back then. But we saw it coming out, and we're like, pouches, people are starting to use alternatives. We're seeing competitors. We knew we wanted to say, all right, we don't want a lifestyle company. We're competitive guys, play baseball. We want to see how far we can take this. We thought about raising money. We didn't.
So at this point, how much equity do you all have versus outside investors?
Matt and I still have, I think the equity back then, we have almost 3/4 of the company. And we were if we gave up 20%, we'd still have half of it. And so we were thinking about it, but we knew that to really control our own destiny and scale, we had to bring production in-house. And when we thought about doing that in California, we found out very quickly, ain't no chance in hell you can afford to do that.
And did you guys have like warehouse, were you shipping all your own orders?
Yeah, shipping.
Okay, so you had a decent physical footprint, but not like a manufacturing facility.
No, and we kept renting like, storage units and extra units for inventory because our spot was small and we had more inventory. And then we started looking, maybe we can, be a few hours away from the Bay Area in maybe Lake Tahoe, Reno area. Even that wasn't affordable. And then I think we did hire someone to look at, a real estate company to say, like, where can we go? And they put some cities on a list. Indy was, I think, like number 8 or 9 out of 10. You had Phoenix, Dallas, I think the Carolinas, and we just got on flights and went to go explore places and use that top chamber.
The disposal chamber?
Discard chamber.
The discard chamber.
Yeah, comes in handy.
Yeah.
But we got on flights and started going to Dallas, Phoenix, Denver, and I knew I was ready to move with the company. Matt wasn't moving at the time. Indy, we visited right off the bat. Still love the airport. So easy to get in and out of.
It's unreal.
Brand new.
So had you ever been to Indiana before?
Not once.
You'd never been to Indiana?
Hadn't stepped foot.
Who comes with you? Just you and your wife?
My wife and I. And Matt and I came out to go see the facility that we're now in, and we made a hire here.
So first visit is who?
Matt and I.
So you and Matt show up. First time ever, you're like, okay.
In the winter. I think it was December.
And you're like, well, let's check out Indiana in December.
Yeah, no clue. Sight unseen. And we're in Westfield, right? So, first off, got to the airport, quick and easy. We're like, well, that's not bad. It was freezing. We end up, I can't remember the hotel we're at, but we go to see our facility that I think maybe had already signed or we're getting ready
Oh,
to
so
sign.
you bet on Indiana sight unseen.
Bet on it sight unseen. I think we signed the lease when we were here, just to confirm. But we showed up and we're in Westfield, and as you likely know, and anyone from Indiana knows, Westfield was brand new. Everything was brand new. We're off Oak Ridge and 32.
Yeah.
A mile south of Grand Park.
Is that west of 31?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And we couldn't believe it. I mean, it was a brand new facility. I mean, literally just been set up in the last year. The rent was a third per square foot of where we were at in Oakland for 3 times the size. We had people who seemed like they were excited to work here, which we had great people in Oakland, but there's so much opportunity. Here, people are excited to join a new company. I remember actually when we signed the lease, they were like, hey, the mayor wants to come out for a ribbon cutting. That blew our mind. I was like, in Oakland, all we got was like the food inspector making sure that we weren't, cutting regulations. And here it's like the mayor wants to meet with us. So it was just nice to be in a spot
At first, were you like, okay, what's going on here?
It felt a little funny. It's like, well, wait a minute. Is this actually so small that, if the mayor's coming out for grinds, I don't know if we need to be the biggest company here. But in hindsight, it's just a reflection on.
And you probably weren't the biggest company in Westfield, but it was that Hoosier hospitality, right?
100%.
Like, it's a real thing. And I love hearing it from people. Like, you grew up in California?
Yeah.
Lifelong?
That's all I knew, lifelong.
It's almost like I talk to people and it's like, they're like, keep them an arm's distance away. Like, are people really this nice? Like, do you really care? Like, what do you want from me?
Hoosier hospitality is unbelievable. We have our customer service lead, Mary Jo. She is Hoosier hospitality. I mean, even I remember we hired like Mary Jo. What a quintessential name to get working in your customer service.
Absolutely. And it's like at the time, are you going back and people from home are like, why the hell are you going to Indiana?
No one understood it. Probably most of all our families, right? Like, because by the way, Indiana is much further east than we even thought. I thought it was closer to Denver. Shows how much I know in California.
Yeah, right.
But no, we ended up here and just everything started clicking. It's like good quality of life. We ended up moving to Zionsville, downtown. Affordable housing.
On the bricks?
On the bricks, man. We're just 2 blocks off. Affordable housing. The road that I take to work was repaved. Like while I worked, I was like, I got brand new, beautiful roads. No traffic, no stress. Quality of life. Sounding cheesy too. Midwestern work ethic. Also incredible. Like you have these nice people who know what it means to spend a day's hard work. And that's kind of the standard. I mean, I love it.
Did any of your California employees stick with the company? How did that? Because that has to be hard.
That was brutal.
How big were you guys up to when you were out there?
Maybe 10 to 12 people, still really small. But we had some that stayed on during the transition. That was one of the hardest things. And there's a few things that have been brutal for the company. That was tough because we had good people there. And we knew the business couldn't succeed, California. And so we had to make the move. And some people left while we were transitioning. A couple people stayed on even through the transition. But in the end, only a couple were even considering moving to Indiana. And that was really a deal breaker. And then we ended up here with a couple people that overlapped, but we kind of started from scratch. And that year was so tough. But honestly, moving to Indiana, I said it to you earlier, feels like a cheat code. Quality of life is improved. Things are more affordable housing. There's great infrastructure here. You can get pretty much anywhere you need to get on the East Coast and the Midwest with a quick flight. It just put life from hard mode to, I don't know if I'll say easy mode, but medium.
Yeah. Well, and it's like when you think about like bottom line, you move your company to Indiana, huge expense, but like I would assume margins go up because you have more space or like productivity. I don't know. What's that look like?
It's way more efficient.
Yeah.
Just again, when you're thinking about the space you're in, because your rent and your cost of materials are always your 2 highest expenses. We had a great place we knew we could grow into. It was expensive year one, but again, just the quality of the workforce, the ability to scale and grow. I mean, we're getting the fruits of that now, almost 5 years in, and knowing that there isn't going to come a time where we might need to leave this place. It's a home base. I mean, we signed a 20-year lease, which seemed insane at the time.
20 years.
Yeah, and now we're sitting here going, man, might have been the best thing we ever did.
Might have been the best. That this warms my heart. I love this.
Yeah.
2 things as we kind of like wrap out of that, and then I have some fun segment questions at the end. That's a hell of a story for starters. Just like going from Cal Poly San
Which
Luis.
most people, no one knows it here. No. It was good baseball, D1 baseball.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a Butler basketball type thing. I feel like
100%.
Growing this company, getting the chance on Shark Tank, that kind of is like a Hollywood, California thing, right? It's like you're building this business out there. not Hollywood, but like for us Hoosiers, it's like all of California's Hollywood
Or like
to me.
entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
like A scenarios. Like, we went to Shark Tank. We had our idea.
Yeah,
did it in
and then it's
California.
like you start to like, do the whole California entrepreneur thing. But to be open-minded, I suppose, enough to like really look at your options and like to end up moving a company from where your family is and where you've been growing to the heartland, I think is like takes some serious courage. But then you look back 5 years in hindsight, you're like, dude, great decision.
Great decision.
What would you say to the entrepreneur that's looking to relocate and maybe considering Indiana?
I'll answer that question, but I also need to shout out my wife before that
Yeah.
because that was a big deal. She moved to Indiana without stepping a foot in the state. So just having her support was huge.
Yeah.
And, leaving family was the toughest part of it. It still is the toughest part. Just got to go see my family in Disneyland, and it was just great to see them. But she was committed, right? She's like, okay, I don't know if I want to be here, but I'm willing to commit and do it, and we'll make the most of it. So I have to give a shout out to her. I'd be foolish not to. Danielle, I love you. You're the best. Thank you for supporting us.
What's her opinion on Indiana?
She loves it. She
Really?
loves it. And
How long did it take for that? Because it's like you kind of have to make it work because you just signed a 20-year lease and you're like, oh, baby, isn't this fun? Isn't this fun?
Oh, totally.
When did it flip where she was like, oh, I actually...
Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you're smart and you have good strategy. Sometimes you get lucky. We moved here and she loves green places. And we were flying in. And I remember she was terrified. I'm moving to a new state. I don't know anybody. We're flying over Indiana in the middle of summer. She came in the summer, not the winter. That was strategic. She's like, it's so green. This is beautiful. We ended up in Zionsville. She started working for the Zionsville Farmers Market. One of her best friends lives, 2 doors down for us or 2 blocks down.
New best friend?
New best friend.
Yeah.
New best friend. And we just got lucky. It clicked for her. Again, sometimes you get lucky.
Zionsville's green. Like that's the color of the high school. You got all sorts of
and
green.
the
up there.
village off the bricks. It's just beautiful. So we really enjoyed it. And honestly, it's the people. The people were welcoming. We have great friends that feel like lifelong friends that we've had since we moved to Indiana. And so she's fit in some ways in the beginning, she fit in better than I did because I was just working, 8 till 8, coming home. We had a newborn. So it's like parent at night, don't sleep, go to work, high stress for a year. And she actually got to know Zionsville and fell in love with just our community there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's really important when you think about teamwork and the risk that she took to help make the dream come to life. Did Matt move out here too?
No, but Matt is moving this summer. He's finally moving.
5 years. Welcome to the heartland,
He was
Matt.
convinced. He finally was convinced.
Is he laying down in Zionsville too?
He's going to be in Zionsville, about 5-minute drive away.
There. Look at that. That's economic development, baby. Come
know
on.
it. Yeah.
New Hoosiers coming in.
100%.
But if there are entrepreneurs out there listening to the podcast thinking, hey, we might want to move out of one of these bigger expensive hubs in San Francisco or LA or New York or Boston that are considering the Midwest, why is Indiana the right spot?
I've had that conversation with a number of people. I think what they don't realize is that there is a great life that is possible outside of the bubbles of San Francisco, New York, even Austin, Texas. The advantages you will gain moving here, if it is a priority to grow your business and you want to have something that sticks and endures for the long term, you need to find a home base. And the Midwest is a great place to do it. The weather isn't intimidating as you think. There's great people here. It's affordable. Depending on the time of life you are in, it can enable things that you want in your personal life and your work life. Buying a home that you can afford in a good neighborhood with good schools, things that I didn't think about when I was starting my business in my 20s, grinding away. Grinding away, shout out. It just enabled all those things to come to fruition. And I didn't understand them as much as I do now when I moved. But being here, you just realize, again, life's hard enough on its own. You're just taking the difficulty down 20%, 30% in your personal life, in your work life. And you can always go visit those places. I fly back to San Francisco a couple times a year. I love it there. I do miss it. But Indiana's home now. And there is just so much opportunity you are unaware of. You've got your blinders on that Indiana can open up.
From a personal perspective, what would you say to the person that's considering moving to Indiana from a coast?
I would recommend seeing it first. I wouldn't go the route I did with, one.
You were gonna had to at that point. You had to come move here. Were you? And be honest. At first, what were your feeling like? Oh shit.
Well, the weather immediately. I think it was December or February. I was like, it is so damn cold here. I need to upgrade my Patagonia. This ain't gonna cut it. But really, you're kind of hesitant. Like, man, is this really gonna work? It's a lot quieter. Sometimes people call Indy, sleep town or
Nap
Indy,
town.
Nap
Yeah.
town. Honestly, what I would say is there is still enough to keep you busy because your life and your priorities. If you want to build a family and have close relationship with friends, you can do that here. If you want to build a business and grow it and scale it here, you can do that here. We're in the right industry, but even if you're in the tech scene, there's opportunity downtown. I mean, people are moving and it's growing. I think you need to visit a place, see if you can imagine yourself giving it a try, and even if you just check that box, a year will fly by. You can always go back. It's not a one-way door. It may seem like a one-way door, but moving your business here, there's always other options. If you truly hate a place, you'll find a way to move. But on the off chance you like it and you love it, it's going to enable so much.
Yeah, and like, what was when you were? I mean, obviously you were in grind mode, but like getting plugged in to really meet Hoosiers and make friends. I feel like everyone's always worried about making adult friends. It's really hard.
It's impossible.
What was the advice moving to Indy?
I was fortunate through work. I just met people. I think it's important to know the neighborhood you're going to live in, and think about if there's ways for me to, have these kind of casual run-ins with people I might become friends with. Because the last thing you have time for running a business, and we had a new baby, was to go meet people at a networking event. But if you're out there and you're in a place that you enjoy, you like the weather, you like the scenery, you like the environment, you will end up running into good people. And I know Indiana has good people.
Amen. I love it, dude.
I don't know if I can say that for every other place that's out there. I only know Indiana, but we love it, man.
Well, I mean, coming from the West Coast too, it's like that's a big culture shock, and I just have loved the like acquired passion that you have for the Hoosier State. Like that's
we
awesome.
love it, man. I should probably stop with the shockingly, but we love it. My wife moved here. She had to fly out without me one trip with our 4-month-old. She had the Butler soccer team, women's soccer team. She sent me a picture of them holding our son Luke. 2 of them ended up being babysitters for us. Incredible. My wife's at the airport. Someone there at the airport goes, "Hey, you need some help? You look like you got a kiddo." They helped her get from the gate to her car. That doesn't happen in San Francisco, man. People are head down. I got shit to do. I got to keep moving. And so it's just real. It sounds cheesy, but the Hoosier hospitality is just a real thing. And man, if you're thinking about Indiana, I think it's a no-brainer.
Dude, I love it. Because when I sit here and harp about it, like the lifelong Hoosier, they're like, okay, yeah, you're just like patting yourselves on the back. But like you've seen.
I've lived it. I've done it.
Yeah. Amen.
I was telling, when we talked to the mayor, I was like, if you need a poster child for why you should move to Indiana, I left the coast and I came here. I had no idea if it was going to work out. I love it. And I've got a buddy. His name's Brian Riley. You're probably going to have him sitting here. He moved his bike company to Seymour.
Yes. This is Guardian Bikes?
Guardian Bikes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need him.
Cal Poly alum, Shark Tank alum. It's just, I'm going to see him in about 2 weeks. So
Heck yeah.
I'll
tee that
connect
up.
you
That'd be
guys.
awesome. Because they're like the safe braking bikes, right?
And their company is exploding.
Heck
exploding.
yeah. I mean,
US
outdoor.
manufacturing. And,
Yeah.
And he's been at it for 15 years too.
This is like a whole part too of like the fact that both of you have U.S. manufacturing is probably really good depending on what's going on right now.
It definitely is. I don't like to inflate that too much, but yeah, I mean, we both knew we want to control our own destiny.
Yeah.
His company has exploded from the effect of making products in the United States, probably in more so than grinds, but Indiana's a great home to do it.
Amen. I love that. Did you were you in his ear at all when he was thinking about where to?
He got a deal on Shark Tank with Cuban, and he was exploring moving. I think they were in Southern California, or maybe even Austin.
I think they were in Texas.
Yeah. He told me he was already looking at places in Indiana, and I told him what I just told you right now. If you're considering it, man, it's a no-brainer. Like if you're down to a couple of places, I can vouch for Indiana as a great place for quality of life, for travel, for your business to thrive, and I mean, he is doing it.
See more, baby.
Go
out.
See it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Amen. We'll do that, dude. We're down to the end of the show. We have a couple fun questions here, man. This has been awesome. An hour and 15 minutes.
Also, go to the Indy 500. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. Plays.
Indy 500 blew my mind. I go every year now. I love it.
When was the first time you went?
COVID year. Did they run the race that year? There was 1 year they didn't run it, right?
There was 1 year they ran it with no fans. Or you had to be up in the stands.
That's the first year I went.
We're only stands?
Yeah. And so it was a weird experience. We had a weird connection. We had a golf cart that we tagged a sticker on. So, someone we knew. It was a weird way to experience it. We had a golf cart driving around the infield. The Indy 500 blew my mind then. And then I've been back every year. And then I went back with fans. The flyover when they're getting started. I mean, I love it. I'm going every year. We look forward to it. It's a grinds event too now. We're doing a big tailgate. We'll see you out there. We'll come host you.
Where at?
It'll be in the infield, I think, on the I'm looking at the track, northeast side, maybe
Is it turn
northwest
3?
side. I actually can't remember if it's turn 3 or 4, but we have a tailgate section.
Northeast would be turn 3. That's where we're at, and we'll host ours again.
Yeah.
And it'll be sick.
Yeah. I believe
Maybe we'll link up for it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I love it, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. We have a few fun questions. We're going to kind of hit them rapid fire style.
Okay.
First one, what's your favorite grinds flavor of all time?
Cinnamon roll.
I was thinking cinnamon roll. I should have written that down and like done that because I had this. You guys sent the cinnamon roll last year. It's phenomenal. Favorite shark on Shark Tank?
I'm partial to Cuban. They all treated us well, so I can't bag them. Barbara's a bulldog too. Damon was great on there too. Robert was great.
So they all great. Like legitimately great, even off the camera.
Yeah, totally. And though Cuban, now that I'm a Hoosier, I kind of lean towards him because he cuts the BS.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dream grinds celebrity partnership.
George Kittle, tight end, San Francisco 49ers. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah,
I just love to work with him. And we've sent product to him. He's used grinds, but he's in another stratosphere for partnerships. But we also had Buster Posey at one time using grinds. I mean, I'm just Bay Area kid, so you get Niners and Giants involved.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. George, let's ink a deal, baby. Come on,
figure it out,
make
George.
it happen. Long time listener of the pod. I said that about everyone who mentioned. Yeah, of course. What's the craziest flavor idea you guys have had?
We might have just rolled it out. It was dill pickle. just launched for April Fools. We actually made it.
Dill pickle.
The craziest one though, because we do funny April Fools, was a tuna fish. Didn't make it.
You didn't actually make that one,
didn't
right?
actually
Okay,
make it
good.
out,
That's good.
We've got some wild stuff
I mean,
coming.
you could honestly make a little like one of the little cans, like look like a tuna
little can of tuna.
You know, like chicken of the sea.
You might see it next.
There you go, next April Fools.
Yeah.
These are the final 3 questions I ask everyone who sits in the chair. First one, what's something the world needs to know about Indiana?
Oh man, it's just a hidden gem. You do hidden gems.
That's the next question.
Indiana is a hidden gem. I mean, it's just a great place to live. Living on the coast, I hate that it's so cliche. You don't even know where Indiana is on the map. And I can say that honestly. I didn't know exactly where it was. There's so much happening here that you would assume is just cornfields, and that's what I assume. Cornfields and long roads. Downtown city's great. There's life outside in the suburbs. There's places to go see even though it's flat. There's beautiful places. My wife loves to camp. There's just so much here than you would assume, and you need to go experience it.
Yeah, well, getting into some of those places. You've been here for 5 years. No, over 5 years, 6 years now. What is a hidden gem in Indiana?
Rivet Coffee out in Zionsville, and it's have you been over there?
Was the OG one in Westfield?
OG one's in Westfield, also a great spot.
Yeah.
Because I've had a tough time finding good coffee.
Okay.
Shout out to Rivet. But the Rivet that just got set up in Zionsville is by where all the race headquarters have been built. Yeah. And you can go, get your latte, get a little sandwich, and you can go see cars. They've got a showroom. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
The Rivet in Zionsville.
Rivet in Zionsville.
That's a good hidden gem.
You'll be blown away by the cars they let you walk around and see in this coffee shop.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Final question for you. This is how we find new guests, new people we need to know about. Who's a Hoosier we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
You know the guy I'm going to list? It's Mr. Brian Riley of Guardian Bikes down in Seymour. We have similar paths. You got to talk to him. If you can, go see their facility. Yeah. It will blow your mind. Everything's made in Indiana. His game plan was to bring bike manufacturing in the United States, which is non-existent. He's doing it in Seymour.
In Seymour, bike manufacturing. Well, here's what we'll do. Seymour, or actually Jackson County, so that's the county that Seymour's in, they're hosting the Watermelon Fest in August.
Really?
With Stephen Wilson Jr. is one of the headliners, and he's from Seymour.
Really?
And he's blowing up right now, going crazy. So we'll plan a trip. We'll go to the Watermelon Festival. We'll see Stephen Wilson Jr., and we'll check out Guardian Bikes and see all the stuff that Brian's got going on down there. That's what I'm.
Dunk, man.
I think that's in August. I think we'll make that happen if he sees this episode.
He's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, I love it, man. We appreciate you coming on. Honorary Hoosier by choice. Those are always fun. I always love to get to talk to people that have been out there, seen different things, grown up in different places, different life experiences, and choose to build a company, a life, all those fun things right here in Indiana, man.
We're not going anywhere. We love it, man.
Now you still got 14 years on a 20-year lease. Appreciate all you're doing and the way that you're speaking about Indiana. That's awesome. I'm really excited to get this episode out into the wild.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. We love your stuff. Shout out to intern Max for setting this up. And keep doing what you're doing. It's incredible to see also. Been watching it grow.
Appreciate you, man. Talk
Thanks.
soon. Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.